guys, so pens up there. Today we are moving on to looking at thousandths. Okay, so that is just, we have done our tenths, we have looked at hundredths, and today we're going on to the third place value column of thousandths. So in your work today, nothing really changes, it is just an extra column. Okay, so what you're going to be looking at today is you're going to have, imagine this is 1,000 square, 1,000 cube, 100 square, a 10 and a 1. Okay, and what you are being told is that this cube represents a whole. It represents a 1 to go in our whole column. Your square represents a tenth, your line represents a hundredth, and your small square represents a thousandth. Okay, and you'll be asked to explain what different numbers are. So for example, if you had 1 cube, 2 squares, a line, and 3 little ones, that is 1 whole, 1 2 tenths, 1/100th, and 3 thousandths. Again, I recommend you draw a place value chart to help you. So you have to do a couple of these. You'll be given a few different ones. Might be bigger numbers, but again, it doesn't actually change what you're being asked to do. So this time you've still got 1, and you've got 1 2 3 4, right, 1 2 3, they're supposed to be 6, 1 2 of those, and 5 of those. Okay, so it's hopefully it's just understanding where each one of these blocks go in your place value grid, because then you'll be asked to draw your own cubes. Okay, so do the best you can with the cube. So for example, you might be given 0.327 and asked to draw it. Okay, so if you think, okay, well that would go here. So I don't have any cubes, there's a 0, but I have 3 in the tenths column. So I have 3 of those. Then we have 2 hundredths, that's 2, 6 and 7. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 of those. So that is our representation of 0.327. You could also do one more. Remember, I just will points are here. So you could also have 2.131. So then you'd have to do 2 cubes. Now remember, when you're drawing a cube, it's just like drawing another box behind it and then joining the corners. So 2 of those, 1 of those, 3 of those, and 1 little one. Okay, so it might help you to draw this in your book or on your paper, whatever you're working on, to help you to plan out how you're going to explain these numbers. I hope that's clear enough this morning. So working with the same numbers, a bit like you did last week, you're going to be asked to partition. So break your numbers up into each individual column. So 0.327 equals, we're going to do each column one at a time. 0.3, which is that one, plus 0.02 plus 0.007. So that is 0.327 broken down into each place value place. So you have 0.3, 0.02 and 0.007. Please don't be alarmed by the number of zeros. It's just where we are in our place value column. So always use the place value column to help you. So the same for 2.131. We have 2 plus 0.1 plus 0.03 plus 0.001. 0.001 just fits on the end. So all you're doing is breaking down each column into its individual amount, individual worth, okay? And that will give you, and then if you added it all together, you still get the same amount. So that's the second part of today. The only tricky part, and it's only tricky because you're looking at it on slides, and I can't really draw it, but I will give it a go, is just like we had the 100 squares where you had an amount shaded in, this time you have 1,000 square. So it is, well, it's 1,000 rectangle really. You have 50 lines going this way and 20 lines going that way, okay? Or 20 rows going that way. I worked it out, okay? I did count to make sure it was. So you had 20 going all the way up here, 20 rows and 50 lines. And you'll be asked to express that a shaded amount as a fraction and a decimal. Now it looks far more tricky than it is. So for example, how I would approach it, if you had an amount shaded that looked like that, okay, so this is our shaded part. So what I would do is, imagine there's a dot there. This part here is 12, okay? We have 12 columns of 20 squares. So we have 12 columns of 20. This part is only, what did I write? 15 high. This is only 15 high and 4 wide. So that is 4 columns of 15. So 4 times 15 is 60. 12 times 20 is 240. So that gives us 300 squares here. You don't have to do this as quickly as I've just done it. You can do it more slowly. But what I don't want you to do is to be spending ages adding the squares together, okay? It's much easier to count an area and then multiply it. So all I have done is that. Okay, so I have got 300 squares out of 1,000, okay? So that is you expressing it as a fraction, just like you did with the 100 square. To express that as a decimal, if you remember your place value column I've just rubbed out, so you have your ones. Now we know we don't have any ones because this is not more than 1,000. And we know our thousands column is where we're going to end because we're saying it's out of 1,000. Oh, shouldn't have done that there, should I? Tenths, hundreds, thousands. So our thousands column has got to be our last number, okay? So we need to know, okay, so that means our 0 would go here. So the decimal would actually be 0.3. Another way you could have done that is by dividing. To simplify this, you could have crossed out the zeros. So divide by 10, divide by 10 again, so you're left with, that is the same as 3 over 10, which is how you end up with 3/10. If that slide is too much to look at online, that is fine. Go on to the 2 slides after it because they're actually more straightforward. I should have moved this one maybe to the end, but yeah, it's more because you're looking at it on a screen that actually it's more difficult for you to do. So give it a try. If you find it too tricky, I can do some more work on it next week when we're back in school. Okay, have a great day. Don't worry, you can do this. You've all done an amazing job with your decimals so far. So I'm really proud of you. So keep going.